Hey Paradise people, I'm your host Bella Rooney, and welcome back to another episode of Protecting Paradise. Today's episode is one I am so passionate about. It's sustainable fashion. The fast fashion tide must be stopped, and Taryn Larock is a sustainable designer that is working towards just that. Taryn's brand, Sage Larock, is an ethical and sustainable luxury brand producing swimwear and activewear made from recycled fish nets and marine plastic material. She's also the co-founder of Sea Sweepers, a company dedicated to retrieving ocean plastics for upcycling into usable materials. With such a passion for saving our seas, I'm so excited for you to meet her. So let's dive on in. Okay, well, hello, Taryn. It's so nice to meet you.
Great to meet you too, Bella. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on today. We're going to talk a little bit about sustainable fashion. I feel like it's such a massive topic. It has so many different things you could talk about. But can we just start by kind of getting to know you a little bit better? And your brand, Sage, is it Larock or is it LA Rock?
It's Larock. I know it's my last name, and a lot of people think it's LA Rock, but it's Sage Larock. When I started the brand about 7 years ago, I wanted something that was easy to trademark, so I used my middle and last name, Sage Larock. And we are a sustainable luxury brand. We do swimwear, activewear. We've done capsule collections of organic, hand plant dyed hemp and dead stock silk lingerie. Sometimes we've done dead stock silk slip dresses. But the core things we do are going to be our activewear and swimwear. Mm-hmm. Everything is made entirely from upcycled fishing nets and marine plastic. We've done that since the beginning. When I launched the brand, we had a commitment initially to do everything in the most sustainable way possible. And we're always in the process of bettering that to be as sustainable and ethical in everything we do and totally transparent to our customers about that, whom we love very much. So yeah, the brand's been around for about 7 years, and we're also expanding into some different collections. But yeah, we're based out of Miami. Everything is ethically made locally here. We use the people that are fantastic. I know a lot of fashion, whether it's a small brand or large brand, they're outsourced to sweatshops, and we make sure that's not the case. So we definitely take that into consideration along with sustainability as well.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. What actually made you, what inspired you to start the brand? Was it, I know you were originally a model, is that correct? And was it your past in modeling and looking at all the fashion that made you decide that if you were going to start a brand, it was going to be a sustainable, ethically sourced one?
Yeah, that's quite correct. I worked as a model in the US and Europe. I did a lot of swimwear for a long time. It was quite a while ago. But during that time, I had the unique opportunity to kind of sit in on a lot of fittings and photo shoots for designers. And I just, when I got out of that, I wanted to leverage the information and the contacts that I had made, but I really wanted to do something that was sustainable and ethical. And at that time, I was just having an extremely hard time. And this was back in 2016. I was having a really tough time finding sustainable swimwear and activewear. And there's more on the market now, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's ethically made. And again, that's not with any sweatshop labor. Everyone is paid a fair living wage, good working conditions, access to health insurance, paid time off, which a lot of us take for granted. But in the garment industry, it's sadly not typical for a lot of people. So, and we also wanted to produce locally. We started the brand in LA, where I had been working for a long time. And it was really out of an impetus to offer something that I knew was made in the most ethical and sustainable way possible, which in my opinion is using either organic, natural fibers or using upcycled goods, especially when you look at polyester. So I just was having the toughest time finding something that I could personally get behind as a consumer. So I just decided to work to create something myself. And it started out, I was just making things for friends and a couple local boutiques. And then we became more of a larger brand. We're still on the small side, but we sold globally. And that happened probably 3 years ago.
Wow. Cool. So these materials, organic like threads and organic materials and upcycled, is that using those materials versus, other fast fashion materials? Like what is it about the manufacturing of sustainable fashion that's different from fast fashion? Because I feel like I didn't understand for the longest time the difference. So what's the difference there?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think that this is something, unfortunately, that the garment industry and the fashion industry has really done a disservice to the general public and consumers, because a lot of the fabric is being put out there is polyester or acrylic, which is plastic. So a lot of the chemicals that are used in synthetic clothing production are carcinogenic. And a lot of the dyes are quite ridden with heavy metals. And it's not healthy for the people who produce it, the people who wear it, the planet. So I think that it's just to give everyone kind of a historical lesson about the fashion industry. Pre-2008, we were manufacturing a lot of our clothing globally in more localized economies. So I'm in the US, so a lot was being made in New York or Los Angeles or Miami, sometimes even in smaller markets. But then with 2008, with the economic collapse, a lot of that went offshore, what hadn't already went offshore. And all of us got used to being able to buy a pair of jeans for $20 or a swimsuit for, $25. And a lot of it's really cute and fun to wear, and everyone wants to be able to save money. But I think what we are not being shown is the cost associated with that. And there is a large cost associated with that, with both a human perspective, like the workers, and then also the environmental effect. And then the effect of just having things that we can't wear more than 10 or 15 times or they look horrible. And with all this acrylic and polyester fabric being pumped into the garment world and the consumer market, I think that fast fashion, a lot of it, if not all of it, is being produced overseas and in sweatshops. So a lot of people haven't seen sweatshops. Why? Because they're very hidden from public view. I've even seen sweatshops in Los Angeles. A lot of the time they're in basements, attics. They're in hidden places because they're not pretty places. A lot of people are illegal and desperate to work and desperate to make a living. And these people are going to make your $20 jeans or your $10, sandals or your $15 handbag. And so these people are not being compensated a living wage. Oftentimes they're subject to a lot of physical and verbal abuse. The living conditions that these people are in and the working conditions are quite horrible. So just caring about other human beings and the cost of what we acquire and what is being done to them is embedded in fast fashion, because you can't turn things around. You can't go, and I hate to point out an obvious offender, but it is Zara and a lot of companies like that. And you'll even find it in luxury goods, sadly, that are very expensive, where it's being made overseas by people that aren't being well compensated or well treated. So That's a very unfortunate situation, because there's no way, if you pay someone a living wage, that you can buy a pair of jeans for $15. Because in order for those jeans to be sold for $15, they need to be made for about $5. That means that the person who takes an hour to sew them is probably making $1 or $2. Maybe that's, more money in an economy where the dollar has more buying power, like Southeast Asia, India, Bangladesh. But it doesn't mean that these people are being compensated fairly or treated well. And the environmental factor is this stuff doesn't biodegrade and it doesn't go away. It's right. Plastic. It lets off chemicals that leaches into the soil, waterways. It's kind of scary now that there are babies being born with plastic in their bloodstreams. We are biologically bonding as a species with plastic because of how much we're producing. And then everyone's careful about drinking out of water bottles that don't have BPA lining. Well, there's similar stuff in the clothing, and our skin is our largest organ. So we're putting that so close to our bodies. So it's not easy to go find something that isn't fast fashion. But I guarantee you, if people start doing that, they're going to get better quality. Maybe you'll pay a little more. But I think we need to go back to pre-2008, where maybe we're paying a little more and acquiring less. Maybe we don't need, 40 outfits. I know it's nice and it's fun, but the cost associated with it is too high for our planet to sustain. And that's, I think, long answer, but that's the conclusion, that it's just not a sustainable process if we want to continue healthy life on this planet.
Wow. Yeah, that's much more complicated than I think most people actually realize, because it seems so innocent to walk into a store and see something cute and just take it home because it makes you feel good. But there's consequences, and it's sometimes sad that you do have to consider that, especially when it's other lives and the planet on the line. So another question I have that honestly is so amazing to me is so you guys did a collab with Sea Shepherd, which, oh my goodness, that's one of my favorite organizations. And you turned fishing nets into fashion. So how do you do that? Because I'll see the label sustainable, but I don't know how they've actually broken down these products or materials into usable materials. Yeah.
No, and thank you so much. I totally agree with you. Sea Shepherd is a group that I have admired for a long time. And we were in contact with them about 3 years ago because they're responsible for pulling out massive amounts of nets from the ocean and all this plastic. And I just admire that work so much, because it's really what is keeping our oceans healthy. I mean, if you go to any beach anywhere in the world, there's a ton of plastic on it, and that destroys marine life. So I learned that about 8 million tons of plastic are being dumped in the ocean every year. And I know that's hard to conceptualize because you may not see it on the surface, but that is the equivalency of, what did they say? 21 Empire State Buildings. So, and almost 40% of that is fishing nets. Mm-hmm. So, which is responsible for the deaths of million marine animals, unintentional deaths. I'm not talking about fish that are caught for people to consume, but unintentional deaths of marine life, birds, turtles, whales, dolphins, and coral reefs. So we were getting educated about that and got in contact with Sea Shepherd, and they have all the crew and the equipment, and they were pulling these nets. And I said, well, let's do something with this, because I'm making swimwear for my brand out of upcycled fishing nets and marine plastic. And you guys are such an amazing organization. And so we did a collection with them. Sea Shepherd was absolutely amazing. They went to Costa Rica, to the Cocos Islands, on one of their vessels, and they pulled out 40 tons of trash from a marine reserve. And this is an area too that Jacques Cousteau called the aquarium of the planet, because it's so biodiverse with life. It's a main avenue for hammerheads on their migratory path. There's sea turtles. There's vibrant coral. So it's just such a special place. And they had not been able to clean this place up for 25 years. But because there was a regime change in Costa Rica, the new government, who's quite friendly about ocean conservation, allowed Sea Shepherd to partner with them and go in there and clean this up. So these nets were then cleaned up. They were sent to be processed, and these nets are made out of plastic. Up until World War II, they were made from hemp, which is biodegradable, or cotton. And with the popularity of polymers, plastics, World War II forward, they are made from almost invisible, lightweight microfilament plastic, which means that they're invisible to fish. They're very lightweight, but they're impossible to tear. So these things never biodegrade, and they just float through the ocean and destroy everything. But when Sea Shepherd pulled these out, they're able to be melted down just like plastic. So instead of creating new plastic for swimwear, all swimwear, unless it's made from a recycled product, is plastic. Same with athletic wear, anything that's acrylic, anything that's polyester, it's all petroleum based. So virgin polyester, just what you would go in a store and buy leggings or a bikini, there's 70 million barrels annually that are pumped. And this is the oil industry out there in the ocean or on land, pumping 70 million barrels of oil just to produce polyester and acrylic fabric for the fashion industry. So, and that contributes to oil spills and fracking. So Sea Shepherd doing this was really fantastic. So we did a limited edition collection with them. We launched over COVID, which unfortunately just kind of put a chink in things because it was so impossible to get anything shipped. And I think a lot of offices, including theirs, had shut down because of the pandemic. But we sold out almost everything within a week, and the money went back to support their amazing work that they do. So that was really nice, and it was a special experience for us to be able to support them and work alongside them.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's honestly so amazing. So these products get melted down and then reused to make new fashion, new clothing, new swimsuits, and that's so cool. That's so cool. So for people, I hear all the time that the price tag it puts people off, especially people, that maybe can't afford it or have money going to other, really necessary places like their kids or, life is tricky, right? What's advice that you have for people who want to live a sustainable fashion lifestyle, but are maybe not able to invest in sustainable fashion at the moment?
That's a great question, too. And I think it's shocking how expensive some things like fashion is, as you said earlier, it makes you feel good. It's an emotional buy. Mm-hmm. Of course, we all need to wear clothing, but at the same time, it shouldn't bankrupt you. Or make you feel upset that you spent too much money on something. So it is my personal dream as someone who's heading up a brand to be able to make things more and more affordable for our customers. And I think that needs to happen with organic and slow fashion and sustainable fashion, locally produced fashion across the board. Unfortunately, this is a slow process because the people that are producing things, the company that are producing things that are more affordable are the ones who are committing some pretty nasty things with human rights violations and environmental violations. So it's tough, but I think that, I personally, I loved going to charity shops and like secondhand stores and vintage stores. I mean, I've purchased some beautiful pieces even from the 60s and 70s that were really inexpensive. I mean, the cost of going to like Target and getting a t-shirt, and they're better made than a lot of the things that I purchase now.
Right. Yeah.
And that's fun. And then also Shop on sale. I mean, everyone does end of season sales, and I know it's not fun to have to always shop online or go to a sale and maybe they don't have your color or size you want, but at least it's a way to get pieces that are meaningful to you, that you really like, that maybe are out of your price range because you're putting money elsewhere. Or unfortunately, it is more expensive to produce locally than it is. Like if I wanted to send things to China to get made, it would cost me less money as a brand. And I could pass those savings on to consumers, but I choose to support my local community and economy. And I try to make sure that quality is embedded in the product as much as I can for the consumer. And I know it is more expensive and maybe you have a little less, but for instance, the very first swimsuit we made in 2017, I still wear.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy because before I was buying things and I'm like, oh gosh, they just look so ragged after like one season by the pool or the ocean. They're like discolored and the fabric's all balled up. But that's a testament to buying things that are good quality. They're going to last longer. So also looking at it that way. I mean, you can get pretty much anything you want on Real, Poshmark, thrift stores. Charity shops are amazing. I've seen some of the most beautiful things donated there. And just reaching out to a brand you like and saying, hey, I love your stuff, but for me, it's just not like a price I'm comfortable paying. Do you offer sales or discounts? I constantly put sales on our brand just to make sure everyone has a chance to get something if they want it. So I think a lot of sustainable brands are willing to work with their customers too.
Awesome. I know your stuff is so beautiful. I absolutely love your swimsuits. I love your activewear. And it really, to me, it's reasonably priced for the amount of effort that goes into making it sustainable. I think for sure your brand, Sage Larock, is amazing. And I can't wait to get some swimsuits from you guys.
Thank you. We can't wait to. Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. That's all the time we have today. We're almost out of time. And I cannot wait to talk to you, or I guess hear you talk at the upcoming National Trust Conference. And that's tomorrow, the 19th. I believe you start talking at 1:15. Is that right?
That's correct. And it looks like an amazing agenda. I know that they have an incredible local designer who's going to be speaking. I saw Fabian Casteau who's going to be speaking. So it looks absolutely incredible. I'm so honored to be there.
Oh my goodness. Yay. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I'd love to talk to you again in the future. Your passion is inspiring, honestly. It's completely inspiring. You know so much. And that information needs to get out there and needs to get into our collective consciousness. So until we get to hear you do your presentation, where can people follow you on social media or check out your clothes?
Yeah, so check us out at sagelarock.com. We're on Instagram at sage_Larock. And you can always, if you have any questions or are wondering about sales, or if you're curious about anything that we have, we love hearing from our customers. They're our friends too, and we can be reached at sales@sagelarock.com.
Okay, Taryn, thank you so much. I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Bella. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much again to Taryn for speaking with me today. I feel so motivated to spread the word of sustainable fashion. It's so important to express yourself, and so much happiness can come from wearing what makes you feel confident. But at some point, you have to stop and look at how it's impacting our natural world. For anyone wanting to live a more fashion-sustainable lifestyle, but someone maybe who isn't ready to invest in any sustainable pieces just yet, make the thrift shop your new home. We have so many to offer here in Cayman, from the Humane Society to the Cave, to Another Chance thrift store, and more. You can definitely find some unique and versatile pieces for your lifestyle. Also keep an eye open for clothing swaps. They happen all the time and can really give your closet the revamp you need without having to spend any money or buy from the fashion demons. Okay, enough of my rant. You can find more information about Taryn and Sage Larock in our show notes of today's episode. And you can follow us on Instagram at ProtectingParadiseKY for more episode updates. But until next time, I'll talk to you next time. Toodles! Script by Bella Rooney, music and sound by James Brake.